Hello everyone. Recently YouTube made some changes to their harassment policy, and we're going to get into that right after this.
Remember to subscribe and hit the bell notification.
Good afternoon everyone. This is Karl F. Rose recording from Bedford, Pennsylvania on Thursday, December 12th, 2019. And yesterday there was an announcement by YouTube about the harassment policy, and we're looking at that right here. Before we get into that, I want to explain a few things about myself. First of all, because I have been a victim of some unfair treatment all the way across the board. I mean, not even concerning the internet, even in public. Every social platform, including YouTube, and a lot of it has to do with my disability and the fact that nobody understands what I have. And even when I do videos, because of the medications I need to take to keep my medical problems under control, it appears like I can't think straight, or I'm a slow thinker or something like that, and it adversely affects everything I do, and that's unfortunate. But the problem is there are some things out there, and the biggest problem is I really can't prove who is doing what, because trust me, if I could have provable evidence, I would. But when I saw this yesterday, this was music to my ears. I thought YouTube did a good job on this. I think there's a lot of unfair treatment going on, and I'm not talking just about myself. I've seen all the other things, and I'm not going to get into who said what to who said to who said what to who and that sort of thing. I am all for open discussions and open debates, and I do a lot of sports stuff. So especially in the sports area, there is a lot of debates, and there is a lot of back and forth. Sometimes some people go over the line in that area, but we need to be able to speak our mind and to be able to debate in a civilized manner, without name calling, without using any derogatory things, whether it's derogatory about the gender, sexual orientation, age, disability, and trust me, I've had a lot of very unkind things said to me about my disability, and I don't appreciate it. It is hurtful. It is hate. And I'm not going to go into specifics on that. There's no need to. I just want to talk about YouTube's official rules, and I think it's a good thing. And all of us, and what I'm getting at, the reason I'm doing this is I think all of us creators need to take a step back, take a breath, and just really think about what we're saying and how we're saying it to other individuals, and how we're talking about it. And YouTube made their rules kind of vague, which is a lot of people are kind of grumbling about it. But I don't have a problem with it. In a way, having the rules vague means we as creators and you as creators out there, we need to be more responsible, and we need to really double check what we do before we hit the publish button. And if there's anything, and do a little more careful editing and make sure, and if there's something out there that might not work, cut it out. By all means, cut it out. And just be careful when you're recording. Because people are sensitive about a lot of things, and there are certain topics that I just really don't touch, just because it's common sense. If all of us get together and use some common sense, the whole platform will be better as a whole. And there's just a lot of unnecessary stuff going on, and that's really my thoughts on this. I think it's a move in the right direction. Some people might say that there's we're stepping on freedom of speech, and this has nothing to do with the First Amendment rights. This is YouTube's policy, and there's one thing when you get thrown in jail for legal actions, for slander or libel, that sort of thing. But it's another thing if you do something wrong on the platform and get kicked off of YouTube or Google just for violating the rules. Two different stories altogether. I mean, if you're going out there and slandering something, obviously you need to be punished, and you need to pay the price for doing malicious stuff. Period. And the penalty should be severe, and that's just the way it goes. But I mean, if you and I know part of this goes into the brushing on the guidelines and that sort of thing, and a lot of people are worried about that. Well, if you're pushing the boundaries, then maybe you got to think twice. So let's get into this, because I don't want to make this too long. It's already the middle of the afternoon. I'm actually doing another video right now. I'm out with my phone, so I'm cooking something. I'm doing a cooking video as I'm doing this video. So it's kind of crazy, but I got things going on. Anyway, let's get on to it. Official blog. Update to our harassment policy, Wednesday, December 11th, 2019. No, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to I'm going to go through this, and you just kind of follow through with the cursor I have here, the pointer. Over the last several years, we have worked to improve the way we manage content on YouTube by quickly removing it when it violates our community guidelines. Yes, they do. Reducing the spread of borderline content, raising up authoritative voices when people are looking for breaking news and information, and rewarding trusted creators and artists that make YouTube a special place. Now, this last statement, a lot of people grumble about. In other words, what's that statement is kind of indicating is, yes, they're pushing up the CNNs, the things like that, and some of the other news people feel that they're being pushed down because of that statement. But that's for another video. But let's just get on with the harassment stuff here. We systematically review all our policies to make sure the line between what we remove and what we allow is down in the right place, and recognized earlier this year that for harassment there is more we can do to protect our creators and community. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I even replied to Team YouTube on Twitter, and I thank them very much, because you don't know how, unless you're disabled, unless you're in a position of being discriminated against and harassed, you have no idea. I've had my condition for many, many years, and let me just say that there were times in public I've had people throw rocks at me, I've had people spit at me, and just I can't even repeat the phrases. I'm not monetized or anything, but I'm not going to say the same language that was said to me just because they don't understand my medical condition, and that's not right. To me, that's a hate crime. And then it goes on. Harassment hurts the community, and yes, it does. Then blah, blah, blah. We heard this from creators. Let's just go on here. And then we remain committed to our openness as a platform and to ensuring that the spirited debate and vigorous exchange of ideas continue to thrive here. Absolutely. It's what I said a minute ago about debate, and especially in sports. Things get heated in the sports world and the sports niche. And, there's a big back and forth. And, I mean, there's things like... say, well, I hate this team, or there are certain phrases and things that really don't cross the border, but in the debate. But if you're going to go out and say, well, I hope such and such player dies, or or you make some sort of derogatory comment about, even if it's a sports player, maybe they came out of the closet, and if you talk about derogatory about their sexual orientation, that should be labeled as a hate crime. That's just, there's no room for that sort of thing at all. But there are people out there that will just grind into there and that will break the boundaries, and that's not good. A stronger stance against threats and personal attacks. This is the part that really got my eye. We've always removed videos that explicitly threaten someone, reveal confidential personal information, or encourage people to harass someone else. Yes, that's always been the rule from day one. Moving forward, our policies will go a step further and not only prohibit explicit threats, but also veiled or implied threats. A lot of people are kind of worried about that, but I'm saying, they do need to look at that. This includes content simulating violence toward an individual or language suggesting physical violence that may occur. No individual should be subject to harassment that suggests violence. Absolutely, I'm totally in agreement of that. So yeah, there are some videos out there, and I'm not going to go into specific videos, but if you even if it's an animation and it shows like somebody actually doing bodily harm to, whether it's a celebrity or even maybe another creator or something like that, that should go against, that should be on the harassment thing. That's just my view. Beyond threatening someone, there is also a demeaning language that goes too far. To establish a consistent criteria for what type of content is not allowed on YouTube, we're building upon the framework we use for our hate speech policy, which is good. I'm glad to see that's happening. We will no longer allow content that maliciously insults someone based on protected attributes such as their race, gender, expression, or sexual orientation. I would have loved to have seen a disability thrown into that statement, but I'm sure it means that, because if you're going to pick on someone because they're in a wheelchair, or maybe they've got a patch over their eye, they're blind or something, and you start just digging into that disabling thing, that generates to me, that constitutes a harassment as well as hateful, and there's no room at all on this platform for that. Consequences for a pattern of harassment, and usually it's the same person over and over. What I'm getting at is I find that for me personally, that when I have been whatever, threatened or harassed or whatever, it's generally the same people. It's usually a pattern, a repeated pattern by the same people. And as I said, unfortunately, I don't have solid provable evidence. And trust me, because if I did have it, I would file charges. And I'm talking about things that are outside of YouTube here. I have my own outside issues to deal with. But I've had other channels and say, basically what I do when it comes to my comments and things like that, if I feel threatened from a comment, I do report it. But if it's just somebody just being, they just want to be mean, and it's not really violating, I just basically what I do is I remove the comment and then I block the person. Or there's a setting that you can go in the comments where you just, the person can comment, but it's just not going to show up on your channel anymore. So I use that feature a lot. Not a lot, but I do when I have to. And that solves a lot of things too. Addressing toxic comments. We know that the comment section is an important place. That's what I was talking about, for fans to engage with the creators and each other. At the same time, we heard feedback that comments are often where creators and viewers encounter harassment. Absolutely. This behavior not only impacts the person targeted by the harassment, but it can also have a chilling effect on the entire conversation. And not only that, when a person is getting constantly browbeating and just with unnecessary things, and it makes the creator, because if they're a creator and they're getting this bombardment over and over again, it makes it less desirable for them to even upload and post any kind of content on YouTube. And this is why YouTube has to do it. I mean, because if all of a sudden a whole big chunk of YouTube creators feel that threatened and they're afraid to put out content, and the amount of content going onto the YouTube platform drops significantly, then YouTube will have a problem. So they really need to do this, and again, I applaud it, and I keep saying that. And then it says, beyond comments that we remove, we also empower creators to further shape the conversation on their channels and have a variety of tools that help. Well, we're not sure a comment violates our policies, but it seems potentially inappropriate. We give the creators the option to review it. I've had all my comments set to moderation before they even made that the default. So I'm not a big channel, so the comments, I get relatively few. I can see how big channels, when they get thousands of comments, to have to approve all their comments, that could be a real pain, but YouTube has to do what it has to do. But me, as a smaller channel, and the content volume is small, I review all contents, and I'm going to keep it that way. And if my channel ever gets big, I'll just have to live with reviewing all comments, and that's just the way it's going to be, because I'm not going to change that setting. Results among early adopters were promising. Channels that enable the feature saw a 75% reduction in user flags for comments. Exactly. As I said a minute ago, what I've been doing now, unless the comment is just absolutely, I feel personally threatened and I think more action can be taken, I will report it. But for the most part, what I do now is there's a little thing in the tools where you can just hide that channel from commenting altogether, so they can post away. I won't see it. Nobody else sees it on the channel. They think they're doing whatever. But if it's serious enough, yes, I report it and I block the channel. Luckily, though, fortunately, because of some of these features they put in, I really haven't had to resort to the actual blocking of the channel or removing of comment. What I do is I use the feature that just kind of hides the comment altogether, and that really takes away a lot of the problems. Okay, then it says, we've continued to fine-tune our systems to make sure we catch truly toxic comments, not just anything that's negative or critical, and feedback from creators has been positive. Last week we began turning this feature by default. It's like I was saying, I've had my setting that way even before they made that default. So to be clear, creators can opt out, and if they choose to leave the feature enabled, they still have ultimate control over which held comments appear in the videos. And then all these updates represent another step towards making sure we protect the YouTube community. We expect there will continue to be healthy debates over some of the decisions we have, and we have an appeals process in place if the creators believe we've made the wrong call on video. As we make these changes, it's virtually vitally important that YouTube remain a place where people can express a broad range of ideas, and we continue to protect discussion on matters of public interest and artistic expression. We also believe these discussions can be had in ways that invite participation and never make someone fear for their safety. Absolutely. We're committed to continue revisiting our policy, revisiting our policies regularly to ensure that they are preserving the magic of YouTube while also living up to the expectations of our community. Then Matt Halpern, Vice President, Global Head of Trust and Safety. This is good. It's a step in the right direction, and I might get feedback from saying, "Hey, you're defending YouTube." I know all these policy changes may be unpopular, but coming from the standpoint of someone who has had to undergo a lot of unfair stuff all the way across the board, and I'm not just saying YouTube, I'm saying elsewhere. Living with a disability is tough enough as it is, and then to throw unnecessary negativity and unnecessary harassment on top of the disability makes creating and doing things extremely difficult. So I applaud YouTube on that. Anyway, if you like these kind of videos, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. And also, I have playlists on all kinds of things, so be sure to check out the playlist in the description and on the cards that you see at the end of this video here, and check my other things out. Anyway, I just want to stop this before it gets to be too long-winded, and have a good day.